All right, welcome to Monday and my motivational message for today. Thanks for tuning in again, and hopefully you'll find this to be beneficial as you listen carefully. Today we're going to be talking about pieces of a puzzle and the fact that our lives are like a puzzle. And the more we are able to put pieces in and pieces together, the clearer and the more complete our life is. I'm sharing a story of Alexander Graham Bell today because he has a very interesting life story. At the age of 12, he gets interested in inventions. He visits a local flour mill and learns that the most difficult part of their job is husking corn because they're still doing it by hand. And within a matter of weeks, Alexander Bell has invented a corn dehusker that speeds up the process. And so the owner gives him access to a shed for him to work on inventions. So Alexander Graham Bell, from a very early age, becomes very interested in inventions. And then his father's occupation is an elocutionist, which is very similar to, you might today call him a speech therapist or somebody who works with rhetoric, public speaking, and things like that. But an elocutionist specifically deals with the pronunciation of words and helping people speak clearly. And his father worked with a lot of deaf, mute, or people with speech impediments. And he got very involved in this. In fact, he even got to a point where he was teaching elocution himself and had his own private practice working with deaf mutes and helping them communicate clearly and pronouncing their words. Another thing that interested Alexander Graham Bell was electricity. He was, in fact, he was translating German scientific journals and French scientific journals, translating them to understand what are people doing with electricity, how are they using it, how is it improving things. And then a final piece to Alexander Graham Bell's life was his mother. He and his mother were very close. Over the course of his life, she became deaf. And he spent a lot of the time with her helping develop different communication signals that they could use to help her understand the conversation that was going on in the living room with a bunch of guests over, or to help her communicate clearly with them. And so there's all these different pieces to Bell's life. And when you put all these different pieces, electricity, elocution, working with the deaf, especially his mom, interest in inventions, when you take all these pieces, sometimes they can seem kind of random on their own, but when you bring them all together, those pieces all come together and create what we today know as a telephone. Bell was driven by helping the deaf. He wanted to find a way to help people hear. And that drive was also connected with his interest in inventions and his interest in electricity and thinking, maybe we can send sound waves through electricity. And his work with the deaf, because of his background in elocution, he worked with the deaf quite a bit and understood and their difficulties. And all of this creates the telephone. And the same thing's true with our lives. We look at these different experiences in our lives, and sometimes they seem random. Sometimes they seem like they don't fit. But yet, everything that we experience in life is a piece to the puzzle that is us. And these pieces make us more complete. And I say all of this today because I want you to understand that experiences are important, even negative ones. I'm sure Alexander Graham Bell's experience with his mother going deaf was not a positive experience. But yet it was an experience that drove him in a positive direction. And so, again, these experiences are important because they make up the total of us, and they take us somewhere that makes us more complete when we have opportunities in front of us, as opposed to having all these gaps in our life. So today, as you're facing new opportunities, new experiences, new people, new places, new skills, new learning, Think of each of those as a puzzle piece. Think of each of those as a puzzle piece that maybe you don't see how it all fits together right now, but once it's all together, it's all going to make sense. I know for myself, I love teaching. Teaching is one of those things that I love to do. But one of the puzzle pieces for me was traveling. I'm not really a world traveler. At least I wasn't. And I know when the first opportunity came about 7 years ago for me to travel overseas, I was really reluctant. Mandy had to convince me that it was the right thing to do. And finally, she wore me down, and I said, "Fine, I'll go, but I'm going because you're making me." And I went on a trip. I went to Athens and Corinth in Greece. I went to Rome and Florence in Italy, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. I could not wait to travel again. I've since been able to go to China, and it was a fantastic experience. And those experiences have made me a better teacher because I was able to add more pieces to my puzzle that made me more complete. So as you go through life, think about every experience, every skill that you learn, every knowledge that you gain, every new person you have contact with, every new place you get to go as a piece to a puzzle that is building you up and helping you become the person that you need to be so you can do what it is that you've been created to do. And from this, hopefully you've benefited from this and been encouraged by it. Don't forget to subscribe so that you get a message every week that I posted a new motivational message. Make sure you hit like if you like what you heard. Comment on it too. Ask me a question or give me a comment if you have one to make. I'd love to hear from you and be encouraged by what you have to say. Thanks again, and we'll see you next Monday.